Hi, everyone. I'm Akash Mathew, and I'm here representing CIED. Welcome to CIED Saga podcast. And in our podcast, every time you get to learn about a new technology, a new business strategy, or the journey of an amazing entrepreneur. Myself, Akash Mathew, and at CIED, we are about helping brands redefine their supply chains by helping them become more transparent and trustworthy. And today, I'm pleased to introduce you to our guest, Ms. Claudia Goldfarb. She is the co-founder and CEO of Sow Good. And Sow Good is a food product startup on a mission to revolutionize food. And as their tagline says, they do this by fighting food waste, malnutrition, and food insecurity with a snack that tastes good, stays good, and does good. It's a really nice tagline, Claudia. So,
thank you.
Welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself and Sow Good.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Sow Good was really a product of the pandemic. Right before the pandemic hit, we had sold our pet food company where we were leaders in freeze-dried pet food. And we became experts in freeze-dried technology through that process. And so then the pandemic hit, and like so many other people, we were sitting there going into grocery stores that had empty shelves. And that's never happened in the US, at least in my lifetime. And it really shocked us. And, we were looking around and factories were closing, restaurants were closing, people were getting laid off. And so we decided to do something about it. And for us, the best way to impact people's lives is by giving them opportunities. And so Sow Good was born from the desire to create a shelf-stable snack with the power of freeze-dried technology, and also to employ and empower employees. And we do that, every employee has a living wage. We give them stock options, full and real health care. And that's a little bit about what Sow Good does.
Okay. Thanks for that amazing introduction, Claudia. So going to the next one. What are the strategies that a startup can adopt to scale up their business socially with a greater impact?
Well, I think that, for all startups, for all businesses, you really have to understand what your core DNA is. Being socially responsible, being environmentally responsible, they can't just be words on paper or, something that because it's trending today, I'm going to do. You really have to look deep and say, what is meaningful to you, and implement that within your four walls. For us, what we really looked at was there's so much food waste going on in the world right now. Over 40% of produce gets thrown away. And so, looking at what your core competencies are, what's meaningful and impactful for you, and building strategies about social responsibility and environmental responsibility around those. But they can't just be words on the paper. They have to be action items that you can take every day. For example, in our facility, because food waste is something that's so important to us, we looked at our production facility and how we were manufacturing product. And we started with freeze-dried fruits and vegetables in snackable packs and in smoothies that you can blend. You just put water and ice and blend it. And even through that process, we had little out-of-spec pieces that we couldn't use in our snacks or in our smoothies. And so we said, okay, what do we do with this waste within our own facility? And so we upcycled those products, and that's how our granola was born. We took those out-of-spec pieces and used them in a different format. So, I would encourage all startups and entrepreneurs to really look at everything that happens within your facility, your business, and look at where you can mitigate waste, where you can mitigate your environmental impact. Becoming paperless. There's so many amazing apps and platforms out there that help you, Box, Dropbox, Monday, Slack. There's so many things out there that can just help you become paperless and more environmentally friendly.
Okay, Interesting. So, in contrast to startups, scale-ups are more capable of mitigating and reducing risk. Is this true? And do you think that calculating risks before taking any steps would be helpful once your company bootstraps or invests its profits back to business?
So I think that wherever you are in your business cycle or in your maturity cycle as a business, risk is important to always identify, quantify, and attempt to mitigate where possible. As a leader, one of the things that you really have to kind of balance is, what's my risk tolerance while still being innovative, while still being relevant. And so I think that those are the things that you really need to look at. You need to stay, especially in the CPG space, you need to constantly innovate, stay relevant, be impactful to your customer. And so I think that that comes with an inherent amount of risk. And so, as you get more mature, as you get more corporate, or you have more shareholders, I think sometimes we become a little more risk adverse to our own detriment because we're scared of innovating. And so I think that's something that you have to be mindful. What got you to where you are today? What was that relationship with your customer? What was that innovation pipeline that helped you become relevant? And make sure that that continues even as you grow and people are looking at your bottom line more closely.
Okay. So now an interesting question. When you hit a revenue of 100 billion, what will be the social and environmental impact of your business? Can you quantify them in figures?
Yeah, so it's going to be easier to quantify the environmental impact for us. When we hit $100 million in revenue, we will be taking out 25 million pounds of food from the waste cycle. So wow. 25 million pounds of fruits or veggies that would have otherwise been discarded, we will have been able to use in our freeze-dried process and make it into a wonderful, healthy, nutritious, delicious product for consumers. So that really gets me excited because that's such a big number, and it starts with small incremental changes, So that's really what does it for me.
Yeah, that's a very interesting and a big number, and I hope you get there soon. Okay.
Me too.
So, what steps can be taken to increase the number of firms that survive and grow, particularly in places where job creation and growth are needed the most?
So I think the steps that we can all take is really identify what will be sustainable in those environments. If you are in an urban area, probably creating a farm isn't sustainable. And so I really think that as a society, we need to look at all those different areas that need job creation and growth and look at what would be sustainable there. Bringing back manufacturing jobs, empowering people to go to trade schools. I feel like that's something that is so overlooked. We need plumbers and electricians and supporting those trade schools and supporting people to go into those environments. I feel like that's really the key that we're missing. Honest dialogue about what is sustainable in the environments that need them most, I think is the key for me.
Okay. So, in what ways can Sow Good demonstrate that it is protecting or creating a social capital?
I think it's really in our employees. Investing in our employees is the most demonstrative way that we can do that. Every single employee at Sow Good has stock options. And that was so important for us because, from our sanitation workers, our packaging employees, our production employees, I wanted all of them to have some skin in the game. I wanted them all to have some ownership in what we were doing. I feel like companies so often just reward the people at the top, and it trickles down. for me, I really wanted to start at the bottom and work our way up, because that's where you create a culture of just excellence and empowerment and engagement. For me, as a manufacturer, one of the things I always tell my management team and my accounting team is our production employees are what makes our company work. If they're not creating product, then we don't have anything to sell. And so really rewarding them, acknowledging them, and giving them living wages, great healthcare. We use Blue Cross, Blue Shield for every single employee, so that they can be healthier, they can be more productive, giving them stock options that are going to live, beyond their time at Sow Good. I really think that those are the things that have been impactful for our employees, and I think are going to be impactful for our community, because the stronger each individual is and the more empowered each individual is in our community, the stronger our community as a whole becomes.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. Having a stronger team makes a lot of difference. May it be a small business, medium, large, whatever it is. Yeah. It's all about how many of your people that work with you have their hearts also into what you are building. So exactly. The things that you're doing right now, I think it's totally on track. Yeah. So these days, there are several startups that want to focus on social impact, or let's say impact-focused business, and not just startups. There are also other SMEs or maybe larger corporates. They also want to do the same. So what type of or what segment of social impact teams do you suggest to focus on, which can have a significant impact in our society these days?
What social impact teams I suggest companies build out?
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the most important is diversity in the workplace. And diversity not only, in religion and color, but in thought, in cultural backgrounds. So focusing on your diversity team, and also focusing on, for me, I call it empowerment, empowering your employees. Once you have that team with you, it's, is it education? Is it, retirement plans? Is it, anything that's going to make them a better, more enriched, more empowered employee? What I want is, I want all of our employees to live at Sow Good forever, right? But if they ever move on, I want them to move on being stronger, being more knowledgeable, being more educated, being more skilled. And so for me, those are the two, diversity and empowerment, I think, is where companies should focus on, at least from my perspective.
All right. So thanks for sharing your amazing thoughts, Claudia. I think your answers, or whatever you told us, everything was pretty concise and to the point on the things that we should focus on. So it was wonderful to have you as a guest for our very second episode of our podcast series. So we do this every month. We try to bring someone really interesting, and then we talk about technology and business. So our viewers and our followers on our Instagram or LinkedIn and Facebook pages can listen to your stories, get inspired to do high impact projects for this world. So thanks again for joining the podcast, and it was great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a great afternoon.
Yeah, thanks a ton, Claudia.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.